morning, all. Just to give a brief, I think the whole idea of this session is to create awareness about NRI perspective, what are the options available, and how, as an NRI, able to take the benefit. Because most of NRI are still not have a clarity in terms of how Gift City can change the whole whole thought process in terms of investing perspective. Just to take you through, I think Gift City, the whole idea of setting up the Gift City is that how to make the overall investment journey for NRI perspective without having any sort of issue. Because one of the major thing whenever NRI think about investment in India, two major things which come up apart from return. One is the compliance part in terms of how to handle it. Second, on the taxation part, because they have to take care tax in the India perspective, then on their respective country perspective. So Gift City setup is done considering keeping into the mind that how made investments much more easier for them without having any sort of a tax compliance in India, and there should not be any sort of a issue from a repatriation perspective, because most of the NRI always have a concern that okay, if tomorrow I need money back to our country, how easily I'm able to take out. So Gift City, if you look at, it's an international finance services center, which is the first center in India, which have made the whole process as a single window clearance, and wherein the whole setup has done in a way that NRIs are able to invest across the globe and in India through best of the class infra. And the whole idea is to make similar to what we have seen in other countries like in Hong Kong, Dubai, or UK and other countries, to trying to make a global financial hub India perspective, and which is focused completely on long-term perspective. So I think which are the areas where it is going to help. So it is not just from an investment perspective. If you look at banking, insurance, capital market, fintech, or any sort of a global setup, which is looking at more easier framework of the rule and the compliance, it can be helpful for them. The prime focus for us in this session is more from an investment perspective, as how we are able to take the benefit from the same. Then I think before that, I think the most important part which comes that why to look at India centric option, because if you look at last, I think last 4 to 5 months of correction, everybody have a concern that okay, the way India has done well earlier will able to continue, and how the currency impact also not going to impact the yield. So I think the whole idea of showing this data is that if you look at on a longer term perspective, not just 1, 3, 5 years, even 10 and 20 years perspective also, we have seen that India has been consistently in a top quartile from a return perspective apart from US. So I think if we look at from a global capital allocation perspective, India always been as a top high growth thing. And secondly, if you look at, I think one of the major thing, if you look at from a GDP growth perspective, by 2030, we can expect that India will become a third largest economy, beating, if you look at Japan and Germany. So this clearly shows that the growth which is having in India is sustainable long term. What we have seen in last 5 months, if you look at the type of slowdown, what we have seen in the economy, that is a structural slowdown. The one of the major reason which has come out, because I think post COVID we have seen phenomenal growth in last after COVID for 2 years, and after that economy has again settling down and consolidating. And in our view, I think next next financial year, quarter one, we will see again economy getting it back to the shape. And from a government perspective, also, if you look at two major reform, what government has done, one is if you look at the way they have increased the tax slab and made more income in individual hands through tax slab changes. And secondly, RBI also started having the rate cut. So slowly you will see that the consumption is going to revive, and plus with good monsoon, you will see that things will picking up. And another major factor, if you look at, I think currently in India, the FI's allocation at a multi-year low, and with lowering valuation, automatically it shows that we will see again FI's allocation also coming back to the India. Just to give a clarity in terms of what are the different global financial hubs and where gift city in compared to that. So if you look at, I think starting from London, Singapore, Dubai, and Hong Kong, these are the four key marketplace. If I look at from a global financial hub perspective, so if you look at, I think on a overall perspective, including exemption on all sort of a tax, including STT, CTT, long-term capital gain. Even the GST also is exempt in the gift city perspective. Secondly, if you look at, I think world-class sustainable infra they have built up, and it's near to airport, very strategically located. And investment opportunity perspective, I think today, at least on the financial services side, lot of funds already started having the allocation through gift city. So most of the funds now you will see coming up with the gift city option as market will become bigger. And if you look at 2 days before, governments also have done the certain announcement where they have reduced the in minimum capital investment required for PMS through gift city from $75,000 from 1.5 lakh USD. So there is a significant change from a government side also to make it gift cities more easier accessible option, because currently 1.5 lakh dollar, which is the minimum investment required for any gift city allocation, which makes a hurdle for many of the investor to look at as an investment option. Now government is trying to classify it and differentiate with different investment option with different slabs. So PMS they have reduced already 75,000 USD from currently 1.5 lakh dollar. And if you look at gift city versus other investment hubs in India, I think predominantly one of the major thing, if you look at, I think it's a simplified version without any sort of a documentation, no tax related issues. There is no GST needs to be paid. Plus, it is completely repatriable. So I think the two major concern for any investor which come, one is on the taxation side, and secondly on the repatriation part. Both are being taken care with the gift city. And if you look at from an investment option perspective, it can be done through India or to a global market. And predominantly, I think gift city whole idea is to build India as an investment destination. And I think that way India will always be in a prime spot from an NRI investment allocation perspective. What are the different investment options which can be looked at through gift city? I think the most known and popular is the AIF, because AIF have alternative investment fund which have a lot of flexibility and different structure, which can include private equity, hedge fund structure, long only fund with hedging and all other sort of options from a long term perspective. Second, PMS. PMS till now it was not been so popular on. If I look at from a gift city perspective, primarily the limit was equivalent to what was there for AIF. I think what government has done recently to reduce the limit for PMS from 1.5 lakh dollar to 75,000 USD, which will make a lot of PMS player also to look at GIFT City as an option. Global and domestic equities now, if you look at through exchanges like NSC, already have a option wherein you can invest into US market selectively through GIFT City. There can be investment in bonds and debentures in the USD terms. Term deposits can be done, and if you look at why term deposit could be a better alternative through Gift City compared to doing a normal FCNR deposit. One is there is no lock-in and there is no penalty in terms of early exit. So that make it more favorable for anyone, even if he's looking at on a fixed income side, looking at investments through Gift City, better than FCNR. REITs also is one of the very strong area where a lot of investments are coming. People who are looking at a good rental yield plus capital appreciation. So typically in India, on a commercial rental side, we have seen 7 to 8% rental yield. Plus, if you look at from a capital appreciation perspective, 5 to 6% capital appreciation from a long-term perspective, which is possible, and dollar terms return, so which makes REITs also very attractive option from an investment perspective. And the one of the last option, if you look at, I think, is startups, because a lot of individuals today looking at investing apart from a fund level going individually. So for them, from a compliance, taxation, and liquidity perspective, going through a gift city make a lot of sense, because they will be able to use that as a lucrative option, and without going through the whole compliance of Indian tax regulatory, because that is where gift city add value. To summarize, what are the key benefits? I think one of the major thing, that tax advantage, exemption in capital gain tax, concessional tax rates on dividend and interest income, currency flexibility. You can invest directly into a foreign currency without converting to INR. Minimum investment 1.5 million USD, but as I mentioned, for PMS now it has been reduced. Ease of investment, it's a digital onboarding and KYC. And one more thing I want to add, I think from an expense perspective also, it is going to be on a lower end, because you don't need to pay GST, STT, or any sort of taxes which are incurred for the Indian investors. Some of the options which are there currently, because many of us may not be aware that there are already so many funds which are taking allocation. So we have just highlighted some of the available options, and today you can look at across different areas. We have options. So, for example, if you look at Vivarti is on the fixed income side, Nuama predominantly on hedge fund side, or late stage growth fund. Carnelian, if you look at, it's more on the equity perspective. Ambit also have a equity perspective 10x India fund. Alchemy also have a global equity fund. So today, if you look at, I think most of the players have started looking at Gift City as one of the major source from a funding perspective. And as time goes and regulator make it more easier accessible and with lower limit, we will see that a lot of funds coming up through Gift City perspective. I think these are some of the few questions which come predominantly, that who can invest in the Gift City. I think the whole idea of Gift City, if you look at investors who are looking at investing, so including NRI and foreign nationals, they can look at investing through Gift City. And will it trigger any sort of RBI, NBFC regulations for individuals? So typically, the idea of Gift City is that to make it a simplified version which doesn't impact the other regulations. So a lot of family offices also today, and even the corporates also looking at gift city setup. And as things will become clear, so gift city will become as a route even to do a global allocation from an investing perspective. What are the tax benefit? I think one of the major benefit from a gift city is that you don't need to look at any sort of Indian taxation as a whole. So your tax implication will be based on the city where you are. So, for example, in Dubai, there is no tax on the capital gain investment perspective. So technically, for them, the whole investment will be the tax free and it is easily repatriable. And the single family offices and other can they invest. I think today still a lot of clarity is required from a family office investment perspective, but I think predominantly if I look at from an individual perspective, I think gift city has become a very easier option from the allocation perspective. And if you look at today, a lot of mutual funds also already started coming up. So HDFC already have a fund, Mide already have a fund, and now the limits are getting lowered. So we can see that also could be an option from an investment perspective. So I think now it is a good time for NRI to look at for someone who is looking at from a long-term investment perspective. Gift City would be the ideal option. Just to summarize, I think what is the whole idea of Gift City? If you look at invest and withdraw in foreign currency without having any sort of a taxation implication in India and completely repatriable. These are the three key things. And secondly, there is no TDS, no GST, no STT. So a lot of expenses which normally NRI incurred during the investment, which will be taken care. And the one of the major part that how the process will work. So it's a complete digital onboarding where funds needs to be transferred in a dollar terms to the respective fund house dollar account, and through that it can be invested to the respective investment option. And while giving the payout also, it will be given back in the dollar term itself. So from an investor perspective, if you look at there is no conversion thing which he needs to look at. Everything will be taken care at a fund level as a whole. And the benefit, if you look at not just from India perspective, a lot of funds like Marshalls have a one fund there. They are investing into global market through Gift City. So it is not just investment in India. Even in the global market, it can be done through Gift City route where the fund managers can have a fund in the Gift City and they can invest across the world. So it is similar to what Hong Kong, Singapore have been, or a Dubai as a global financial hub. India is trying to make currently. So if you look at currently 550 entities which are already operational. So this is not something which is at an early stage of a start. So today, Gift City already have a lot of companies which are looking at, but currently still it's a niche segment because of the limit, which is 1.5 lakh USD for any investment. Now, which government is trying to reduce it as things become more clear and operationally accessible. So I think you will see next 2 to 3 years for any NRI, gift city will be the major thing. And one of the myth people have that it is only for AIF. It is not just for AIF. Today, mutual funds, PMS, deposits, REITs, startups, all sort of investment options can be done through Gift City. And if you look at from an investment perspective, already 20 billion USD commitment has been received through Gift City. So we have seen already large chunk of funds which have come to India through Gift City, and it is just at an early stage if I look at, because if you look at it's hardly 5 to 6 years where we have seen real efforts from the government side to make GIFT City as major hub in terms of investment perspective. And as time goes, we will see this will become as major area. And one of the other area why government also is looking at focus the way rupee is depreciating. If we look at, I think the whole idea is that how to attract the global capital. And I think GIFT City will be the best way from a government perspective where they can get a lot of inflow coming up through this with easier compliance and the taxation and the long term money. So I think it is a time to look at for NRIs for any investment first. Look at GIFT City and then based on the overall risk profile and the investment option perspective that can be considered. We can be reach out based on the requirements, what are the options. But I think now time has come where it is going to become as a key investment option from an investment perspective. And if you have any questions, we can take it separately. But I think one of the major questions is typically come just to answer it. I think if somebody started investment through GIFT City and later part he become as a resident Indian, how the implication will come. So I think from a taxation perspective, it is very clear till the time he is an NRI, he has to pay tax accordingly. After that, based on his tax status, he has to pay the tax. So that will not going to get the benefit later part from an investment perspective.